Hello. We are back for I think the last Whopping Friday. Um, Sorry guys. It's I'm gonna miss you. Miss everybody, you know. Uh, we have a really cool winery today. We have WALT wines coming in. So that'll be fun. Let me get everybody on here. Hello, everybody out there. What up, Kate Johnson? Nice to see you. Hey, yeah, how's it going, everybody? This is great. Here we go. We got Walt Wines coming in right now. Let's get them in here. Today we have Walt Wines coming in. All right. Let's go live with Walt. There we go. There you are.
Hey there, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Pretty well. Yeah,
Yeah, good to see you.
likewise.
Yeah, well, how are you doing? I mean, like, let's start with that, huh?
I'm doing great. It's actually kind of hard to be inside right now. It's a
It,
gorgeous day out.
it's so nice outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've just finished up. I'm feeling good. Just finished up a lot of work this week. We've been working on blending. So
Oh,
we've been working on blending the Pinots and Chardonnays, the benchtop blends. So we've got our plan for that. That's
nice.
always fun.
Are you doing 2020 blends right now?
We are. Yeah, we
Nice.
are.
Oh, good for you guys, man.
Mhm.
You're getting after it. I like that.
Got to get on top of it. I mean, if we're going to be bottling some of these wines, we like to do it. I mean, ideally within 10 months. We think it's going to be a little later this year, so probably more like 12 months in oak. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things about our brand is that we source from over 1,000 miles of Pacific coast. So we're sourcing from a bunch of different AVAs. So 2020 vintage threw a lot of challenges at us, but we were able to make some interesting wines that year too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's interesting. I mean it's really cool that you guys I guess is a little bit of a spoiler. We have some Oregon Pinot that we're gonna taste later, but the fact that you are, yeah, I mean, you're right. 1,000 miles of coast is insane.
It
Uh,
is insane. Yeah.
that is, yeah. I mean, so within that, I mean, how many vineyards are you working with? I mean, what are you doing here?
Yeah. So start at the top. I sent you a bottle of our Shea vineyard from Willamette Valley that we sip on today. So that's the farthest north. We do one vineyard up in Oregon. We have an estate vineyard in Anderson Valley. We do two bottlings from the Sonoma Coast for Pinot. Let's see. We have a Carneros Pinot. Going down, we have San Lucia Highlands. We do two wines from Gary Francione's vineyards. And then further down, we do a couple wines from the Santa Rita Hills. Oh,
Oh, wow, right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we dove into your vineyards probably too quickly. Let's back up. Let's. Who are you? Right. Let's go you, and then let's go Walt, because I think there's people out there. I know you, and I know Walt, but who are you? What's your thing?
So my name is Alison Frichtl-Hollister. I'm winemaker for Walt Wines, and I've been working for, Walt Wines is part of the Hall family of wines. It's a
Right.
brand, the first vintage was 2010. Um, Hall wines are known for cabs, and that's a brand that was started in the late 90s. And I've been with this team for over 12 years now. I early start in my career with them as their enologist and have worked my way up
Nice.
to assistant winemaker. In 2016, I started making Zinfandel for them. So we started a third brand. It's called Baca. And then in 2020, I was promoted to senior winemaker for the Hall family of wines. And now I'm including Pinot Noir in my emphasis here, focus on making these wines. So it's pretty incredible to have worked with the same team for so long, to really have that depth of experience with the winery, with our equipment, and with these vineyards as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's super rad that you've been there for that long. Personal experience. I mean, when you start from the bottom and you work your way up, you learn a lot of different things. You kind of have a better, I don't know. I think you know more about every little aspect of the vendors that you're working with, but the wine and how it kind of reacts year in and year out, because I mean, nothing's consistent. I mean, there's the spine of consistency, but there's always
Yeah.
certain other things. So
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, obviously that is helps you out immensely, I imagine, to where you are, and obviously congrats to getting up to the top.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Winemaking takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of observation over time. It really takes time to get to know a vineyard. I'm really excited to really start taking a deeper dive into some of these Pinot vineyards with too. 2020 was definitely not necessarily the most ideal vintage, but we were thrown into it, and I feel like we came out standing up, and through it all, I feel really proud that we still made some gorgeous wines. So looking forward to hopefully a calm year in 2021.
Yeah. I mean, that would be very nice to have a more normal vintage. And Walt, so I know it's part of the Hall family, but when was Walt started? Like, I know there's some Clos Pepe stuff in there. There's all sorts of other things in there, and we're gonna get into Shea Vineyard, which is a very famous vineyard in Oregon. So, I mean, what's your kind of overarching message on them?
Well, the backstory of Walt is it's Catherine Hall's maiden name, so Catherine Walt Hall. It's her family background in vineyards and viticulture that is why Hall and Walt and Baca exist today. Her parents had a vineyard up in Mendocino, and after she married Craig, she felt like that was a part of her life that she was missing. And so they started with a cab brand, and then in 2010 introduced this Walt brand. It was actually a purchase. They purchased an existing brand called Rustler, and I'm sure you've heard of it. And it came with this incredible portfolio of vineyards. And I think one of the really interesting things about it is under the same winemaking team, you're really able to illustrate how Pinot Noir is reflective of where it's grown. So one of our tasting experiences we call the Route 101, where you can taste your way down the coastline and really taste what the place is like. So that's the thing that excites us about the brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's super rad, and I've been in a couple seminars, Walt seminars. I don't know, are you guys still working with Savoy at all?
No, unfortunately, we're not working with Savoy anymore, but it's an incredible site. Our vineyard is a little farther south, right outside of Boonville. It's called The Corners, and another vineyard called Donnelly Creek that we own, that makes some really incredible wines. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wonder, so, winemaking wise, I've like I said, I've been through some seminars, and there were some interesting things that you guys were doing in the past. I don't know if you're still doing them. And if you tell me don't talk about it, it's cool too. I don't know, proprietary or whatever. I remember the chili roaster with stems.
Yep.
And for people who don't know, it was there are a lot of people that believe that you dry stems out and you add them back to fermentation, and you get you get that stem component, but you're not getting that green component. I think it's probably the biggest benefit, right? And you guys went further, and it was like, I'm gonna buy an industrial chili roaster and throw the stems in there. So Again, I don't know if you're doing that or not, but that is something that has always intrigued me. So
that's
what's
pretty
taking
cool.
you?
It's pretty cool that you remember that about us. Yeah, we're still using that. Obviously, we did not use that technique in 2020. We were going to be adding like
Yeah, it's
fire
probably a
roasted
good
clams.
idea that you didn't use
We
that.
backed off.
So
Yeah.
you don't need any more roasted flavors.
No, not a good year to play around with that.
No.
But yeah, so yeah, like you said, the idea is to have some stem influence, but instead of fermenting whole cluster and getting that carbonic influence and the green influence from the stems, we were playing around with ideas of how to roast them. So people will de-stem and lay them out in the sun. That's pretty hard to do on a larger scale. And we consider ourselves kind of unconventional. We like to think of new ideas. We like to play around. And someone, I think it was Megan, who's our director of winemaking now, came up with the idea of a chili roaster from New Mexico, where they use it to roast the hatch chilies. It kind of looks like a bingo cage with propane coming up, and it's pretty incredible the smell that comes off of these stems. It's like a culinary thing. I mean, smelling them is part of how you know they're done. You don't want to burn them to a crisp. I was actually one of the first people to roast them and then add them to a tank. And I remember my arms were just totally black from char that was coming off. But yeah, you add them on the top and it integrates through the pump over and adds this great savory character. So in 2020 instead, what we did, we went back to traditional whole cluster, which I think worked really well in that region too. And I think going forward, it's going to be like a combination of those two techniques.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, that's going to be interesting because they're two totally different techniques, obviously, but using the same kind of base. I think that I'm very intrigued on how this continues. So,
yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, we have a question that says, does it give it more of a toasty flavor from Evan's Handle?
Yeah, it's not like a toasted barrel flavor, but it's like it's kind of like if you're grilling a vegetable, you get a little of that caramelization aromas happening from the stem, and that imparts like a richness and a savoriness to the wine is how I would describe it.
Yeah, that it's so interesting, and you guys are the only ones I know that do that. So it always sticks in my mind. I did the Savoy seminar. It must have been 2-3 years ago. With with all the other Savoy people. So I thought very interesting. So let's dive into this wine. What do you think about that?
Let's do it. Sounds good. I'm ready.
Yeah. So we have the 18 Shea Vineyard. So we are going to Oregon, which I was not expecting, frankly.
That's good. That was part of the point.
Yeah. Keep me on my toes, which is always good. I did not know you guys were venturing in Oregon at all. And Shea Vineyard is a very famous vineyard in the Willamette Valley. I mean, frankly, I think it's the most famous vineyard in Willamette Valley, right? I mean, wouldn't you say that?
It's really well known, that's for sure. Yeah. There's they make their own wine, and there's 20 other producers in there, mostly from Oregon, but a few of us from California ship the grapes down too.
Totally. Yeah. I remember Adam Lee Seduri was doing this back in the day for a bit, shipping in cold boxes all the way down. So thank you for bringing I guess shipping me this wine so I get to taste it with you. So tell me about this. So multiple questions, I guess. One, is this the only Oregon Pinot you do? Two, is this the first Oregon Pinot you do? We'll just start with those questions.
It's yes to both. This was part of the portfolio from the beginning when we acquired the Rustler brand, and it's the only Oregon Pinot we make. We love this wine, and we think Oregon has a lot of interesting regions. So we have kind of toyed around with the idea of what would it look like if we made more wines from Oregon. But for now, we're sticking with Shea. And certainly, certainly it's a good one to stick with.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's funny. Well, I guess we should probably go into winemaking, but I didn't read the back. I just realized, but whatever. I don't need to read the back. You tell me. So,
Yeah.
2018 in Oregon. I mean, I know 2018 in California, it was a long, cool year. You know, longest harvest I've ever had.
Yeah.
So, did you pick this wine? Were you part of this wine? You were. I mean, you've been here for 15 years, so
Right.
of course you were. So, tell me about this wine in general, like
Yeah.
from start to end.
For sure. Like you said, the 2018 vintage up in Oregon was somewhat similar to ours here. It was really even. There were no heat spikes. There was no rain at the end. Oregon is one of those regions where it gets dicey. They kind of like the cooler vintages. And then there's this thrill at the end, like, is it going to rain? Will we be able to get full ripeness? So this was a year that was pretty luxurious because you had a long picking window. You didn't have to rush because of any rain or heat events. It was a little on the warmer side for Oregon, coming off a series of warm vintages. So you're going to get some more ripe fruit flavors coming out of this one for Oregon. But one of the things I think is really cool about us making an Oregon Pinot is this is probably one of the distinctive wines in our lineup. And we're just letting it be itself. We're letting it be Oregon. We're not trying to overwork it. We're not trying to use any special tricks for more extraction. We just want this wine to reflect that place. And that's part of what I love about it is this kind of mysterious, ethereal quality that comes through that is just so Oregon Pinot for me. Megan Gunderson, who started as the winemaker for the WALT brand and who I still work for, and is the director.
She's still there, though?
She's still there, yeah. So we both got promoted up. So she's the director of winemaking here. So we're still working really closely. So she was the one who flew up there, called the pick, went up there a couple times in 2018, went up there to taste, call the pick, and bring it back to the winery. And then once it was back at the winery, that's when I become involved in the process too at that point, with the stemming, the sorting, and the fermentation and the blending of the wine.
Yeah, so is it 100% to stem then? Is that what we're dealing with?
This one is 10% whole cluster. So
10% you said?
10% whole cluster. Yep. Cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The traditional whole cluster. No roasting fanciness going on here.
And what oak? What's your oak regime?
This is about 35% new oak, so a little on the lower side. It's a more delicate wine, and we use an impactful barrel. We use the Francois Frere barrels, which are known for being really toasty, really having a lot of that bacony flavor, which supports our wines really well. But we don't want it to overwhelm the wine too much either. Yeah. And another fun fact about the winemaking on this particular Pinot is, as winemakers, we got really excited because we purchased 10 new concrete tanks in 2018. So one of the blocks from this wine went into one of those concrete tanks, and we just loved the expression of that wine. So that's part of the winemaking now too. We'll reserve one of those for Shay every year when it comes in.
That's cool. So you talk about fermenting in them or aging in them or both. What's your thoughts?
For this wine, we're just fermenting in it, and then we're aging in oak. But other wines, I've been playing around with Zinfandel. I'm aging in the concrete and really like that as a substitute for the neutral barrel.
Yeah, no, rad, very cool. Yeah. It's funny. I just did a Southern Rhone tasting and concrete's cool again, right? It's funny because concrete was the old. All these guys in Rhone and in Argentina and a lot of places throughout the world were using concrete for a long time. And it became cool, like it's like, oh, this new thing. And so certain people think it's like it's new. And it's like, no, concrete's like an old thing.
It's true. Yeah, there's a history back in France. for sure. It's something, a history I want to learn more about. It's probably concrete started probably post-World War II, I would say, in the winemaking world. So it's not like super old, but you're right. It's not a super new technology either. It's just something we've recently, it's hip, but it also works. I'm sold. I'm obsessed with our concrete tanks.
Yeah, but you don't have to clean them though, right? I mean,
personally, I don't. True.
Yeah,
That's
I know. Concrete's such a we can say bitch on here, so concrete's a bitch to clean. A lot of citric acid or tartaric acid.
You have to do the tartaric treatment. Yeah, it takes a little more care in that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. It's a pain. I know.
Yeah.
We don't at Tally. We don't have any concrete, but I have a lot of friends that are winemakers that do a lot of concrete fermentation. So I do want to get some concrete for my Gamay, but that's another thing. This wine is, I think you mentioned ethereal, which is always a nice note. It's so what I always do with these things every Friday is I open it for my staff first. We drink half the bottle and then I come home. And then I do it with you. So I've had this wine for a couple of hours, and it's quite a solid wine. I was again, like, I was impressed that it was Shea. I was not expecting that in this package, but it's got great energy. I don't think anything is an outlier on it, be it oak or tannins or anything like that, which is always nice. It's a very it's a wine that I enjoy drinking. I think this is you know, I mean, you've been a winemaker for a while, you know, that like one of those things, like saying that is I don't know, to me is almost the utmost compliment, because it's like I want to actually drink your wine, you know. There's certain wines that you're like, yeah, great wine. I want one glass of it. That's it. You know, and I think this is a really cool wine. I really enjoy it. I think just thinking about Shea, actually just popped in my head. How old are the vines that you're working with here? What are we talking about?
That's a good question. I know the vineyard was originally planted in 1989, but I doubt these would be the original vines from that. I couldn't tell you the exact year these were planted, but
just make it up. Say 1992.
Middle-aged.
Yes. Yeah, right.
2000.
Yeah, it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's great. I like the. I really like the fruit component. It is red fruits and plums, and it's really nice. The tannins are kind of on the back end. They're really nice and light. It's a great wine to drink, and I think it's going to age well as well. So
yeah, they do age well. Yeah, one of my favorite. I just want to add, like, I love your tasting description. And something that I find unique about this wine is a character I describe as red grapefruit, and I get it especially during fermentation. Really distinctive from the California wines I'm working with. Yeah. And I get the nose and also a little bit on the palate. Just a little bit of that red grapefruit pith adds like just the right amount of grip to the wine too.
No, totally. And that actually leads me to something that I've been thinking about is, again, I didn't know you were working with Oregon, but for you, is there difference, or are you approaching it differently working with California to Oregon? I mean, this is such a generic question, California, you know, Oregon vineyards, because people don't realize, like, in California, there's like a million different areas and stuff. But I mean, I don't know, is there something that you're like, no, man, Jay's got to be totally different compared to these Cali vineyards?
Yeah, I think that's a valid question, and an important one. Really, there's no tricks. There's no tricks to making an Oregon Pinot that's different from California. It's all about, I think, calling the pick is a little different because you're working with lower bricks typically. It's ripening at a lower bricks than you would see in California. But once you bring it into the winery, it goes through the same, very similar processing to the rest of our Pinots, and it's fairly bespoke the way we approach our winemaking here, and we're tasting each tank each day, and we have a general idea of how we want to extract these wines, but we'll modify that day by day based on how they're doing. So I don't have a specific protocol just for the Shea.
For Oregon, yeah.
Oregon, except that I always look forward to those tanks when I get to them. It's like a really refreshing.
It remind me, was 18 the first year of Shea, or?
We've been doing Shea since the beginning of the brand, so 2010.
Oh, really? How did I not know this?
I don't know. Now you're in. Now you're in on the side.
Yeah, I guess I know. I've had so many different WALT wines, but not this wine. All right. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you sent me 2 bottles, because now I can,
Good.
Eat it later too.
It's important. I'm glad you shared with your coworkers too. Another cool thing about Shea Vineyard is Dick Shea every year hosts an annual tasting for all the winemakers who make fruit from his vineyard. So I've participated one year, and it was fascinating because you taste through blind flights, and everyone's there in the same restaurant. They all bring their wines. They're all bagged.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. It kind of reminds me of World of Pinot, right? Because you have a room full of winemakers. They're all commenting on their wine. Some of them are brave enough to guess if it's theirs or not. And I found, from that experience and comparing our wines to what was mostly Oregon wineries working with the same vineyard is, you're going to experience, there's something distinctive about this vineyard. It's got a certain plushness to it that's different from different vineyards in Oregon. But I thought there was I thought our wines really stood the test well and had a great transparency to it. And it was just really a vivid expression of that fruit. So I was pretty pleased with how we're making it based on that
yeah, absolutely. You've been a Whopping Tech. It's a fun thing. So I guess to end, one, what did you miss about not having, Whopping 2021 with, TAC? I always miss hanging out with Picard. Don't worry about my sweet, lovely dog.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he gets in the mix sometimes. It's all good. It's all good. He looks better than I do, so it's but you've been a Tech, you've been a Whopping. Give us what's your Whopping memories, Sorry. It's Gary. He's a good dude. It's all right. He's fun.
No, I'm a wine tech fan. I think a lot of winemakers look forward to the big Bacara event. And I
don't
miss
talk to me like that. Maybe I do.
I'm saying, and it's great. It's really fun. But I'm kind of, what was that resort called? The glamping, was it El Capitan?
We did El Capitan. Yeah, the glamping one. Yeah.
I liked that. I liked glamping and getting together with a bunch of winemakers and getting technical and tasting through those blind flights, and also just that feeling of it's always very cool to be in a room full of winemakers that are all tasting the same wine and describing it in a similar way. It's a story I tell people who aren't in the industry, who might think we're just full of a lot of BS when we talk about strawberry or clove or some of these aromas. But when you're in that room and you hear everyone saying the same descriptor, that's a really cool.
That's great. You're totally correct. That is a fun time. I don't know. I like all the areas that we end up, it's a winemaker camp. It's like summer camp. And,
yeah, it is.
It's like a little bit, it's the best. I miss that the most, I guess. because we all get to hang out. Like I've enjoyed hanging with you and everybody else, and it's just it's really good times.
Yeah, pretty unique.
And we'll get back there. We'll get back there. That's so.
But yeah, I think also I missed out on, we threw a great event at our Clos Pepe Vineyard, which you mentioned, which is down outside of Lompoc. So I think we all really missed out on not being able to host people there this year.
Yeah.
That's a super fun event and such a gorgeous area. So that was a bummer too.
I know. There's a lot that was a bummer in 2020 and 2021, I guess. I guess the front part of 2021. We're lucky to have Wappen in 2020, thankfully, and then we had to shut down the country after that. So
crazy.
Whatever. Yeah. But we will see each other again.
Yes.
I know I've been told that we were hitting our time. So great seeing you.
You too, Eric. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. The wine's great, and I look forward to all the cool stuff that you're doing. I mean, anything else you want to say? Like, do you want to throw anything out there?
Wow. Well, if you happen to be in St. Helena or Sonoma or Healdsburg or Napa, come visit one of our tasting rooms for WALT or Hall or Baca. We're open and we have beautiful outdoor seating. And a beautiful day like today, we saw some people having a really nice time here at Hall Wines. So please come visit.
Perfect. And I'll say that Wappen, we still have the silent auction still going. There are awesome magnums. There are all sorts of things. Plane tickets, what you want, everything. WALT stuff's on there. Tally stuff's on there. It's tons of stuff. So hit up worldofpinotnoir.com. Get on the silent auction stuff, frankly. So great seeing you, and have a good weekend. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I hope you're having a drink behind you, and
yeah.
hope you're ready to roll. Yeah, there we go. Hey, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Good seeing you.
You too.
See everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.